discussing and kind of showcasing the new upgrades we made to StatsAmerica over the past few months. We've been working really hard to really respond to user feedback, to user testing, to all kinds of ways that we've been working with users to really improve the site. So we're excited to show you today. So I'm joined by Sydney Milner of the US EDA, Carol Rogers of the IBRC. My name is Riley Zipper. I'm the project manager. And we're going to get things started with Sydney from the EDA to give us an introduction.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to be here with everybody today to preview the new StatsAmerica site. We know our StatsAmerica team has been working on this for a while, so we are excited for you all to be here. Please feel free to drop questions or any concerns in the chat box. We'll be monitoring it and we'll address those at the end. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Riley.
Okay, thank you, Sydney. So first, let's just kind of get things started with an at-a-glance review of the kinds of upgrades that we've been making to the site. So we kind of started from the ground up, and we decided, based on some testing with users, some feedback, that we were going to do a complete redesign of our homepage and of the site navigation and the user interface in general. And in addition, we've added a search function and a newsletter that we'll be talking about in a little bit. We also decided to upgrade one of our most popular tools ever since we released it in 2020. It's become a really commonly used tool. Users have really liked it. So we've expanded the data, and then we've also added the functionality to compare 2 or more custom regions to each other. We've also upgraded our innovation index with new data and a redesigned UI. So much so that we're calling it the innovation intelligence now, because it represents kind of a full-scale upgrade of the II with new data, new measures, again, based on some user testing that we've been going through. We also have an all new user guide. So this is guidance for particular audiences, what you might be using, what you could use StatsAmerica for. In particular, we have 4 now, focused around SEDS, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, different kinds of investment strategies, some guides for university centers in particular. And finally, we have a new download center. So this is going to be a central location for data downloads that you could find throughout the site. We've all put them in one spot where you can, as a one-stop shop for all downloads. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Carol Rogers, our co-director, and she will kind of talk about the user experience aspect of this redesign of the site and provide some more context. Carol?
Oh, sure thing. Thank you so much. And Riley, if you could keep an eye on the waiting room and let people in, that would be great. With the encouragement from US EDA, the RNTA team wound up bringing in a user experience specialist, Jennifer, who over the past 8 to 12 months has really helped us up our game in terms of ensuring that our web development is centered around the user. And her work has involved extensive research. It incorporates empathizing with users. So again, the user is the center of our universe. Creating mock-ups and wireframes and prototypes so that people could respond to them, and we could continue with users to test out new features that were needed, understanding additional content that people wanted us to add. And then at the end of that process, we began the actual programming development to incorporate all of that information into how we build and deploy. So if you could go to the next slide. Thanks, Riley. I just wanted to share a quick insight with all of you, just to give you a sense of the kind of usage that we have. We have up to 500,000 users a year with StatsAmerica, and more than 1.2 million pages of information are consumed by those folks. And we have users all across the country who are economic development districts, local economic developers, schools, universities, nonprofit organizations, chambers of commerce, a really broad swath of people, and many companies, actual businesses, some big name businesses like Amazon or Eli Lilly, who are also using StatsAmerica to get particular kinds of information that they can't find elsewhere. And again, we want to thank everyone who's with us today and those who aren't, who helped us pressure test these things, who continue to give us feedback about what they wanted to be able to do and what they wanted to see on the website. And we want to continue that as we continue these monthly webinars as an opportunity to not only show you what we're doing or how the tools work, but for us, really, the feedback has been the most valuable part of these monthly webinars. So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be finishing up certain aspects of the tool, bringing in the automated content. We've done a lot of work on the back end to automate receipt and transformation and release of the data to make it easier on us to do this. But we also will be showing you the preview site and the old site or classic site simultaneously over the next several weeks, while Jen monitors the usage and looks at the kind of bumps in the road that the usage analytics gives us to see where on the new site users may be bumping into problems, so we can go back and tweak that before we then finally, at some point in July, make the old site go away and just have the new site. Your feedback during this process is going to be really important to us as we complete what we call this sprint. It felt like a marathon, but right now we're in sprint mode. Back to you, Riley.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. Excuse me. As Carol said, we really value your feedback during this process, feedback that you give us during the session, feedback that you give us through contacting us on our website. So what we're going to encourage you to do is that you go to that preview site that we're going to show you today, and any problems that you might run into, any comments you might have, to respond to us, to send us an email, just to let us know, as this is a iterative process. So let's move on to the demo. So the new site looks like this. The first thing you'll notice is that the design of the homepage is completely different. It's more visual. It allows much easier navigation than previously. So you can access our latest webinar. You can get to a few tools that we're going to feature on a rolling basis. We were mentioning the webinar before, the newsletter before. So if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter, which we'll begin releasing next month, you can click right there and enter your email, and we'll put you on the list. So one of the new aspects of our navigation is that we kind of split our tools into 3 parts. We have all of our profiles in one place, so you can look up data profiles on virtually any geography you can think of, from counties, cities, metros, all the way to school districts, tribal areas, and the like. We have a central location for the new Innovation Intelligence tool, which we'll be looking at in a little bit. And then we have a section for specialized tools, which is where we put our other tools that are purpose-built for. We have a disaster resilience tool, we have a SEDS resource library, the Regionizer, and an opportunity zone mapping tool, and more, all located in the specialized tool section. In this section, you'll find our user guides. We'll refer to those in a little bit, but we have 4 so far. And we really encourage you to give us some input about what kind of guides you might like to see in the future. What kind of audiences do you represent? Does your organizations represent that might need some guidance about what they can use StatsAmerica for? So now I'm going to scroll up, and we can get to our first thing I'd like to show you today. So if you look at the nav bar, you'll see our tools are in their own categories as before. But first, I'm going to show you the downloads page. So the downloads page has bulk downloads of all new data sets, as well as some of our existing data sets, our existing tools and data profiles. So instead of having to go to individual pages, you can download them all here. Many of them also have user guides, so you can find out more about how to use the data. In the download, you would just click this little download icon.
And
So
Riley, oh, sorry about that, but if I might, Howard mentioned that there's going to be a major SEDS data pull needed in early July. And so I think one of the things we'll want to be sensitive to is maybe extend the classic for a while, as well as the measuring distress tool. So we'll make sure that we'll keep engaged with Sydney around that and make sure that you don't lose anything that you're going to need.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Carol. Now, we have 4, like I said before, we have 4 user guides available now. I'll just click on this SEDS resources one, because I think this one, considering the audience of our webinars, this one will be a one that I think you should definitely check out. So this is going to walk you through the sections of the SEDS, which is a required planning document and process for economic development districts across the country. So this will just kind of walk you through the required sections of the SEDS and those sections for which StatsAmerica and the data that we have there would be most appropriate to use. So I definitely encourage you to check out this guide and the others. Give us feedback on what you like about it, on how we can expand it and improve it, and on how we can add some more that are responsive to your needs. So now I'm going to move to some of our new tools. So the first one I'm going to show is the Regionizer. So people have really enjoyed using the Regionizer. It's got some functionality that you really can't see, that I haven't found personally anywhere else, and that you can build custom regions out of counties. And behind the scenes, we do all the aggregating for you and present you a data report that is an aggregation of all those counties in your custom region. So based on some of our user testing we've been doing, a really common requested feature was the ability to compare some of these custom regions to each other, to compare them with the US or with the state. And so we added that. So I'm just going to build a couple regions for you just so we can kind of look at how this works. So the first region I built was the region that I'm from, we call Kentuckiana, some of the counties at the Indiana-Kentucky border. We got Northwest Indiana, and I'm going to go ahead and add in the state of Indiana as well for comparison. So here you can see all the data aggregated for my custom regions. If you want to look at what's actually included in those, you can look at the info box. The box will list it will list 5 counties. And then if you have more than that, it'll say, and however many more counties you have, but don't worry because you can scroll all the way down and see exactly which counties are in each region. So we offer, a variety of ways to kind of get your bearings and know exactly what region you're talking about, that you're looking at. So our data profile includes much of the same data we had before, but we've also added some more data. More data around demographics, veterans, housing age, just all kinds of new data that we've pulled from generally the American Community Survey at the Census Bureau, but we also have some data from BEA, from BLS, and the data profile on the Regionizer is one aspect that we're still working on. We're still pulling through our data sources and running them through the algorithm that aggregates them like this. And so we really hope that you could kind of go in here and play around a little bit and see what you like about it, what you think could be improved, and some more data you'd like to have added, because we're always looking for more data that our users want that we can add to our data profiles. Given the Regionizer is such a popular tool, we'd like it to have as much data as we can.
Well, and if I could just interject on that note, Riley, one of the things that we've done is we've built a back-end process that is going to make it much, much easier and faster for us to add data so that we can continue to keep up with feedback. What more do you want to see? And we'll be able to do it relatively quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. And as before, you can also download the data here. It will give it to you in an Excel format. And I didn't mention this, but before you used to have to click on a certain state and it would zoom to that state. But to make it easier to kind of cross state lines as you wish, you could start with a large map of the US, or you can zoom into a particular state if that's what you want to focus on. So now let's move to innovation intelligence. So if you're familiar with the innovation index, which we had a webinar on in February, innovation intelligence is a kind of full-scale upgrade update of the innovation index that retains the same core functionality, but is expanded with some new data, with some new measures, and all in all is presented in a more easily navigatable format. It's still a work in progress on the preview site, but we wanted to show it, and we wanted to make the call out to people to play around with it, just get a little familiar with the new interface and see what they like and dislike.
Yeah, and what's really cool is you can just click on a county now in the map to select, and we're keeping it all on one page, so you don't have to navigate across a map or comparisons or anything. You'll have it all in one spot.
Yeah, and so what you would do is as Carol said, you would just click on a county, whereas before you had to type in a county. This way we give you the option to do both, and it gives you similar output as what we had before, where you can get the innovation index score, you can get the some basic information about the area, but we also provide the comparison features right here on the same page, so you don't have to navigate away from this page to make comparisons to other places. So to add a region to compare, it's pretty similar to the Regionizer, really. You would just click on another county, and it's automatically populated here in the comparison table. So we're still adding a lot to the innovation intelligence. You'll notice that at this point we only have the indexes themselves there, but one of our really commonly requested features about this was to actually make the measure data available too. So eventually we'll also make that available, so you can see both the indexes and the data behind the scenes that underlies the indexes. And another aspect that we added was the ability to compare states. So we've also generated the innovation index for states, so you can look at counties and the states that they're in, as well as metros and economic development districts. So really we offer a variety of geographies that you can see that you can get this data for a lot more than we did before. So and we are also planning on adding more data, but we just wanted to get the preview out here in front of you all now, so we can get your input.
Yeah, and Riley, why don't you mention the webinar in July?
Yeah, and in July we will be doing a webinar on innovation intelligence. So we'll be taking a deep dive into just this tool, all the new features, all the new data that we have, and just talking about innovation more broadly, the inspiration behind creating the innovation index in the first place, and some of the conceptual parts of innovation that have kind of informed our reimagining of it for innovation intelligence.
Yeah, a couple of things we're going to be adding shortly to innovation intelligence. Is going to be a deep dive into patents by county, and the ability to see the types of patents based on a NAICS-like category system, so that you can look at things like manufacturing or information services and try to see what the level of activity is, and also see how those patents are connected to other places around the country. So that should be interesting. At least we hope it will be to you. And then also looking at a new sub-index for the innovation which is around readiness for entrepreneurship. So we'll be adding those two subcomponents to the innovation page very soon.
Yeah, and that was really part of our reasoning for naming this innovation intelligence, in that it's so much more than an index now. With the patents, with entrepreneurship readiness, and giving the measure, providing the data that underlies the indexes. So we take a very broad view of innovation, just to make it easier for people to use in their SEDs, for people to make decisions regarding innovation and entrepreneurship policies. So
yeah, some of the feedback that we've gotten pretty consistently has been, can you show me enough detail so that we can understand where we can move the needle? So if there are gaps in capacity, where specifically are those gaps? And try to help you make decisions about, are they things that are doable for your particular region?
yeah, that's why we call it innovation capacity, because it has to do with the characteristics of your region, the aspects, your regional assets that make it ready for innovation, that make it that fosters an environment of innovation. So we're really excited about releasing the new tool and continuing to refine it and hearing your thoughts on it. So in that vein, I think we can go ahead and move on to feedback. I've been noticing some chat coming up in the chat box. Carol, are there some questions that we've gotten that maybe we can address?
Absolutely. Make sure I'm not muted here.